Hi, I'm John Scholl. I look forward to today for June 28 for your client service forum for your organization. I tell you what, St. Petersburg is, as you know, one of the most beautiful cities in Russia, and I love the weather. I love the city. I'd like to be there myself right now instead of doing this video. Let me share some practical ideas on customer service I think that can help you build your business, grow customers, and keep more customers. I'll just go through a series of things, and some of them are very simple, but very complicated to get everybody to use. Number one, if we want to focus on what I call the customer experience, that's making it easier for people to do business with your organization than anybody else, then there's several things we got to do. Number one, we got to understand what I'm talking about right now is a strategy. Very, very few people understand the power of keeping customers, why it's critical, how much money you can make from it. I really believe throughout the world, it has nothing to do with the Russian Federation, but throughout the world, very, very few executives understand how much money they can make from delivering an incredible customer experience. The problem is, I think that some of us think that good service gets us a medal at Sochi. You're not even going to get into the Olympics, whether it be Sochi or whether it be, Brazil, with just good service. You got to be incredible and you got to be awesome, and particularly if you want to win a gold medal. So the real question is, how much money do you really want to make? How important is this? So I need you to talk about it strategically. In the United States, it's a bigger problem in that 99% of all executives believe that they're awesome at customer service. And 99% of the people living in the United States say, where is it? I can't find anybody. I have trouble identifying it. So there's this huge dichotomy between reality and the myth. Secondly, you've got to make it easy for people to do business with you. That means you've got to eliminate dumb rules, dumb policies, dumb procedures, dumb systems. And I'll give you an example of where Russia is light years ahead of the United States, and that's when you enter your country. Right today, you use your passport. If you recall, going back 6 years ago or longer, you had those little white pieces of paper you had to fill out. You tore them in half, and you put your information on each side. Today, you just hand the immigration officer your passport, and you clear immigration. The last time in April, it took me 60 seconds, because I time. I want to see what really happens. It takes me 60 seconds. In the United States, it's going to take anywhere between 10 minutes, 20 minutes to an hour, depending on what line they're going to put you in. Sometimes they're fairly good. Sometimes they're really, really bad. Now, the point I bring up about the passports is they're using technology today. They don't look at all those dumb questions they got, like, what's your sex? I entered Trinidad last week, and you got to put down your sex, your birth date. All that stuff is in the passport, and hopefully a person can look at you and identify your sex. So we ask people to fill out all sorts of paperwork. We have all sorts of rules, and here's the problem. They cost money. They have no value, but we keep asking them. For example, in Russia, in many of the businesses, you got to sign a register when you come to that place of business. And it's very, very important that you sign that, and you put your name down, and you sign it, and you put the date that you entered. Here's the question. How many people really look at those registers? I suspect none. I think that we've been doing them for years. We hire somebody to make sure that the person fills that information in. We give them a badge. But nobody does anything with that information. It's just a routine, okay? And so I think that we have too many policies, too many rules, too many systems in place that have no value, but they cost money to manage, they cost money to implement. We hire people to implement it, and then we hire more expensive people to supervise to make sure that it's implemented. So as some of you travel around the world, you're also entering countries where they have you fill out some type of an immigration paper. And the real question is, what do they really do with it? Nothing, okay? But for 20 years, they've been getting people to fill out that piece of information. They dump it at night, I hope. I mean, wouldn't it be embarrassing if some of these countries had thousands and thousands of warehouses filled with these papers that nobody ever looks at? I mean, that's how crazy and how stupid it is. Third thing that we got to do is we have to be a lot more careful about who we hire. It's because it's very difficult to fire people. It's just politically, it's incorrect, it's difficult, we procrastinate, we put it off. So you want to hire people for attitudes and then train them for skills. So virtually all the service leaders are looking for attitude. They're very, very careful about who they hire. The fourth thing that I think is critical is we got to have empowerment. So if you got 25 employees or 250 or 2,500, every single person has to be able to make fast, empowered decisions. Are they going to make mistakes? Yep, exactly. So will you, okay? But if you're going to be a service leader, you got to get people making very fast decisions, and it always better be in favor of the customer. Now, we're not talking million-dollar decisions. If you're a bank, we're not talking about allowing the employee to make a million-dollar loan. But there's so many little things that are critical. A guy calls up, he says, look, you got charged me a late fee on my credit card. I paid it on time. But because it took an extra day or so to get processed, you went and called it late. You don't want to say, well, let me talk to a supervisor, let me check into it. You just want to say, Mr. Shaw, I so apologize. Let me take care of it. I'm going to waive the late fee right now. If you can make fast, empowered decisions, you reduce your costs, you increase the speed, and you have an over-happy customer. I'm going to say that 85%, 90% of all the empowered decisions are less than $50 US. Okay, they're not really a lot of money. Many of them don't even require any money at all. So we need to make sure that every single person is using empowerment, making fast, empowered decisions. Right now, my experience is it takes almost 2 miracles at one time for a person to make a $5 decision. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. We have this fear in us that we're going to get fired if we make an empowered decision. So again, there are so many unique things, so many crazy things that happen every day. You have to teach people the principles of your business. Your business should be to have over-happy customers. But we're rule-driven, we're policy-driven, okay? And so if you want to be a service leader, you got to have people that just use their head, make fast, empowered decisions, don't pass it up the chain of command because they're empowered, and the customer wins. See, if the customer loses, you lose the customer. Now, the former Soviet thinking is, you ought to be just lucky I'm going to let you buy my product or my service. Well, that legacy is gone. Today, you're in a much more competitive world. The ruble is more in trouble. It's a tough economic client on a global basis. We have to look for every customer we can find, and we got to take care of each of those customers. The next thing I think that's important is that we train and educate our entire staff. And that means, again, if you got 40 people or 400, every single person has to be educated on the skills of customer service with something fresh and new virtually every 4 months. So we got to get away from the concept that we're going to take Vladimir, we're going to put him in some magic program. Maybe we even bought it from Service Quality Institute. And we put Vladimir in this magic program, and let's say he's 27 years old, and he's going to change all of his attitudes and behavior because maybe he went through a customer service program that's 8 hours in length. Give me a break. It's not going to happen. There's no way that Vladimir is going to become this perfect human being because he went through one magic customer service program. So if you want to create a culture, you want high-performing employees, then you have to build them and develop them, change their attitudes and behavior, teach them the skills and the art of customer service, build employee morale and teamwork. And I believe you need something virtually every 4 months. New, fresh, new, fresh. When you went to college, you didn't take one course and say, give me my degree. I'm ready. Okay, it didn't happen that way. And you didn't take the same instructor, the same course 40 times. So there was a curriculum for you to graduate, and you had different courses, different instructors. It might have been advanced psychology, and then you had originally psychology, or it might have been advanced biology and then microbiology. but there was always something new and fresh. If you want your employees, all of them, to be customer driven, then everybody has to be trained on the skills and the art of customer service with something new and fresh virtually every 4 months. Keep in mind, there is, I think Service Quality Institute has the best material in the entire world. And Spear, who's our licensee in Kazakhstan and the Russian Federation, would be delighted to working with you. All of our, most of our programs are now in Russian. But we got to understand is that if we're going to create a culture, you got to have new stuff, fresh stuff, new stuff, fresh stuff. And as soon as you stop, employees say, great. And then they start sliding back. And then we have another problem that we have employee turnover rate. And a lot of organizations have a 20%, 25% employee turnover rate. Well, you can imagine in about 4 years, you got all brand new employees. So let's say that you waited 5 or 10 years. By the time you get around to doing something new, nobody's there. I mean, most of the employees have moved on. And do you really think that you're going to remember what you went through 4 years ago? I don't think so. And remember, we're aiming at the total workforce. Now, I think another element of this whole customer service strategy and process, you need to measure what you're doing. Most people measure a program whether Sally liked it or whether Olga liked it. If Olga likes it, it's a good program. The real key is it creating any change? What are some of the things that you're looking at? Are you looking at increasing revenue, decreasing customer complaints, decreasing defections, increasing customer loyalty cards? What are the 5 or 10 things that are very dear to the top people in your company? That's what you want to measure, because I think we can move the needle on those 5 or 10 things. The focus is that we got to do the entire workforce, no exemptions. So let's say that you got 500 employees and you got 25 people that say, look, you don't understand. I don't need any of this stuff. I've talked to God a couple times a day and I'm close to being perfect. I'm from Moscow. Oh, come on, give me a break. There is, the people that are not interested in participating usually need it the most. And those who need it the very least are the first to sign up. So if you have any kind of cancer in your body and you're not willing to eliminate the cancer, it will destroy your whole body. So it's critical that we measure the results, and that if we're going to develop people, we got to develop 100% of the employees. And we got some people at the top that think they don't need it. We got some people in the middle that don't think they need it. And then we have a bunch of people at the bottom that because they think they're already close to being perfect, don't need it. The fact is that all of us could be a lot better than what we are. So I believe that if you have this incredible customer experience, all my research shows that money just falls from the sky. And the interesting thing when we talk about this financially, I invested in May of 2003 $1,000 US in 9 service leaders. And I wanted to follow the companies at that time that were service leaders, believing that if they really delivered an incredible service, that financial numbers would show. Well, what I found since May of 2003, that some companies, they lost their focus. That was a cool thing for a number of years, and then they forgot about it. And then others are very, very passionate. So I'll just give you a few examples of that, just so you understand financially what can happen if we drive the service strategy. Of the $1,000 I invested in Amazon, which is the service leader, they grew sales 20% last year. They're like $119 billion US in revenue. That $1,000 is worth $21,000 right now. That's a lot of money. They were the #1 performer. The second company that's up there is Costco, which is a wholesale buy-in club, kind of like a supermarket, large supermarket retailer. And that stock is worth about $6,000. These guys are incredibly good at service. Costco competes with Sam's, which is owned by Walmart. And the interesting thing is that the sales per store are basically double at Costco than they are at Sam's. And the reason for that is that people value a customer experience. And at Sam's, there is no really great customer experience. The third company is Home Depot. That stock is worth around $6,000. And then if we look at Dell, which is the worst performer, that stock is worth about $475. Michael Dell founded a company based on technology, selling computers, and it was based on price, quality, speed, and customer service. And then when he retired for the first time, he appointed Kevin Rollins, a financial guy, a numbers guy, as the CEO. And the first thing Kevin Rollins did was eliminated the customer experience. And so where the stock was really climbing, now it's at $475. It's kind of like worthless. Another large company which is growing considerably every year, which is Walmart, the largest retailer in the entire world. They only focus on price. Now, when Sam Walton built the company, they focused on price, and then they focused on customer service. And today, customer service doesn't really exist. It's non-important. That's $1,000 is worth about $1,500 now at Walmart. General Electric, a large manufacturer, they do a lot of sales in Russia. Let me tell you what, the stock is worth about $1,500. In my opinion, in the United States, the more incompetent the CEO, the more he gets paid. And it's interesting, in the last annual report, which came out about a month ago, they said it was the CEO's most effective year, and they lost $6 billion. They gave him a $32 billion salary. I think they're focusing on executive compensation and board of directors compensation. They're pretty bad. So as we talk about customer service, there's all sorts of things that we can do. Speed is one of the core areas that I talk about. How can we deliver our service and product at a fraction of the time it takes now? If it takes 4 minutes to open a new account, how do I change it to I can do it in 15 seconds? Could be the hours that you're open. For example, if I called your business at 6 o'clock tonight, the seminar is going on right now at 6 o'clock, is a live person with a smiling, friendly attitude going to answer the phone? Are you going to have voicemail? Are you going to have an IPR system where you push 1, push 2, and push 8 to go to hell? See, if you work and you understand the customer experience and you want to make it easy for people to do business with you, you want to be able to dial a phone, have a live person answer that call. No technology here. Smart, caring person, and they immediately take care of it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I worked with Euroset a number of years ago with Evgeny. It took him about 2 hours to get that totally implemented. You can call 24 hours a day at Euroset, and a live person will answer the call in 1 or 2 rings. I worked with Technodom in Kazakhstan. Before I went in to do the seminar, I made a call, and it took forever. And in their seminar, I talked about how slow it was. And today, you can call the Technodom line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the phone is answered usually without even 1 ring. Okay, that's called speed. So one thing that I'd like to see all of you do, if you have at least 100 employees, is get rid of any voicemail technology you got, dump it, get live people in. You already have in Russia, in the CIS countries, probably 25% more employees than you need. We don't need to add more employees. Just put several in your call center environment so the phone is answered immediately in 1 or 2 rings. And at midnight, you don't have to have 20 people. You might have 1 or 2. And as the growth comes, you might add 2 or 3 more people. But you want to have it staffed so the phone is answered in 1 or 2 rings with live, smart, caring, brilliant people. It is much cheaper, much less expensive to have a call center in addition to your physical store, your physical location. So you want to have a variety of ways that people can do business with you. The internet is one, but in reality, there are problems with the internet. Sometimes the website's down, sometimes it's confusing to a customer. Many of them like to talk to a live, human, smart, intelligent person. And rarely happens, okay? Because we have voicemail and we say we'll get back to you next week, and we get a call back, or we may never even get a call back. Another thing that I think is critical that we could all use if we're going to drive this focus on customer service, I think it's important to use the customer's name. So if Sergey comes into your into your business, you should be able to remember who Sergey is. You should be able to use Sergey's name. And the next time he comes in, it's Sergey, isn't it? I'm John. Do you remember me from 2 weeks ago? You want to use the customer's name. There's nothing more precious than a customer's name. We already have technology. We have all of our computers, but nobody ever looks at it. No, I fly a lot, and it's interesting. I'm in first class, and nobody ever uses my name. Never. They know who I am. They know my name because it's all coded for first class, any airline in the world. But the chances of somebody using my name is like zero. Okay? So I think one of the highest elements of customer service is when your employees use a customer's name, they remember the customer, they're able to pronounce the name. Another thing that is real simple is smile. I heard a rumor that there's a law in Russia that you can't smile. And my suspicion is that rumor is wrong. And I think when somebody calls on the phone or when somebody comes into your place of business, just learn how to smile. It's just a warmth. And trying to get a security guard to smile is like asking for 2 miracles at one time. But for some reason in the Russian marketplace, the CIS environment, nobody smiles. What's the big deal? It shows a caring, a warmth attitude. Now, I know that in the Russian culture, we're thinking that if somebody smiles, we don't trust them, what are they up to? I'm just talking about some of the highest elements of customer service that don't take any extra time. We need to be, there's 6 different elements I teach in the Feelings flagship program I have that I think all of us could relate to. Number 1, we got to feel good about ourselves. We got to build our self-worth and our self-esteem. Whether you have 1,000 employees or 10 employees, everybody you have to build. Most employees are hurting inside. They got problems with their spouse, with their girlfriends. We have all these political problems. Some of us live from paycheck to paycheck. So we're hurting inside. So it's your responsibility to help people feel better about themselves. The second thing we got to do is practice habits of courtesy. It doesn't take but a few seconds to be polite, be nice. They can read your body language. They can tell your tone of voice. The third is we got to have positive communications, both verbally and non-verbally. Again, a frown or a smile. We can tell whether they're really interested and whether they don't care. Now, you might think this is so simple. Why would you ever teach it? Well, think about your Olympics. It's the fundamentals, okay? Every athlete at Sochi, every athlete in Brazil is going to win by a fraction of a second or a fraction of a point. And it's a real matter of how good are they at the fundamentals. And that's what you want to do is teach fundamentals so that your employees are flawless 100% of the time. The fourth thing that we work on is performing. You got to do what you said you're going to do. You could be the nicest person in the entire Russian Federation, but you don't do what you said you're going to do. So if you said, I'm going to mail it on Tuesday, you mail it on Tuesday. If you said, I'm going to call you Friday before 9 o'clock in the morning, you call before 9 o'clock in the morning. You got to do what you said you're going to do. And then the fifth is you got to listen. You got to really tune into what the customer wants. Very few employees listen. And a good example of that is the next time you go out for dinner at your favorite restaurant. And usually we have a hostess. And as you're leaving, the hostess says, how was everything? If she does, what I'd like you to do is just say, not very good. And I'll bet you 1,000 rubles. The employee's going to say, okay, thank you very much. Okay? She doesn't listen. She doesn't care. I mean, think about the times you call somebody and you give them your name, and 60 seconds later they say, what's your name? They don't care, okay? And then the last item up here is you got to learn about your products and services. So I don't care where you work, what kind of job you do. I think it's easy to move up because there's so few people trying. Know everything there is to do in your business. Read magazines on your trade, your profession. Read books on your trade and profession. Sign up for online learning courses. Sign up for courses that your company is going to invest in. Spend a little bit of time massaging your head, your ideas. If you want to be a better manager, read every book you can find on management. If you want to be a better salesperson, read every book you can find on selling. Don't read one stupid book. I mean, what's one book going to do? If you read 100 books, then you get better and better and better. I challenge each of you to read just one book a month. Not 100, just one book a month for the rest of your lives. Instead of watching TV at night, spend 1 hour massaging your mind, developing your mind. The greatest asset you and I have is what's between our two ears. So anything we can do to enhance that skill, to develop our customer service skills, to develop our leadership skills, our management skills, our selling skills, our technical skills, we become more valuable. And a customer can tell within seconds whether you know anything about your product or services. It doesn't take long. And some people just kind of show up. They don't really care. So these are some of the principles that I talk about when we talk about how do we create this customer experience. So I would challenge all of you to understand this as a strategy. Be focused and committed to developing your entire organization, every single employee. And by the way, here's the bad news, is as we talk about creating the service culture, you probably have at least 10% of your workforce right now that should be fired, that are ineffective, that don't care. No matter what you do, they're not going to change. And we keep spending more money on them. We keep spending more time on them. Some of the people that you have in your organization right now have died. What's bad is you're still paying them money every month, and they died. Help them find a job at your most favorite competitor. And then there's another problem that we have in the Russian Federation is many of your organizations have way too many employees. I'm not talking about just a few. I'm talking about like 25% of the workforce. So when you terminate those dead people, you don't need to hire anybody new. You already got way too many employees. But then you could take the money you save, and you could do one of two things. You could take your top 2%, the people that really make it happen at all levels of the organization, and you could compensate them more. That would be a good use of money. Second thing you could do is to reduce your cost of your products and services to make you more competitive in the marketplace. That would be another strategic advantage. The only thing I ask is don't have this huge overhead. Don't keep having all these underperforming people. Our business at Service Quality Institute is to help you develop high-performing employees. We have great products and services in Russian. Spear is our licensee in Russia and CIS countries, Kazakhstan, who can help you develop a service culture that can help you change the behavior and attitudes of your workforce that you're customer service driven. Marina and my staff is always willing to help. She speaks Russian. She's originally from Russia. And while I may have great concepts and ideas and I put our products into Russian, the bad news is I don't speak Russian. It's a very difficult language, a great language. And so I'd love to be of help to all of you. I'm counting on all of you attending this forum to master these principles. It's not a complicated strategy, but it can help you become the most successful, the most profitable, the most revenue-driven companies in all of Russia and the CIS countries. So I'm John Scholl. Спасибо.